Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm Giuseppe from IG of Informatica. Today we talk about a YDI motorcycle. Dashcam is practically a monitor with two cameras to install on our motorcycle that allows us not only to have the dashcam function, then record video of both the front and rear of our motorcycle while we are going on the road or we are parked. But it also allows us to connect our mobile phone with Android Auto or with its dedicated app. Now we are going to see it to be able to manage calls, navigation, GPSE, whatever else directly on the handlebar to our bike without having to mount the phone on the phone holder. In fact, as we all know, putting the phone on the handlebars involves a whole series of problems. Excessive heating of the phone that remains on for a long time in the sun, or under the water if we are driving in the rain, the vibrations to which the handlebar is subjected that are not exactly ideal for the electronics of our phone and especially for the cameras of the phone, especially those stabilized mechanically. Let's see what's inside the package and then go try it. However, we have the QR code that allows us to use the application manual. As for our monitor, the model is the WC10 Dashcam. So let's see what's inside the package. Obviously the monitor with all its beautiful wiring, because as we said, to this monitor can be connected cameras that are obviously supplied with the product itself. The product is obviously waterproof. It's made on purpose to stay on the handlebars of a motorcycle. We also have staff. Meanwhile, this is the monitor. It must be powered by the battery of our motorcycle. Now let's go see the wiring. So this is one of the two cameras. There is the protective plastic in front. We remove it at the end of the installation with its cable. Another identical camera. Then we have the mounting brackets and extensions regarding the camera cables, because obviously a half-meter cable is not enough to get from the handlebar to the rear of the bike. We also have, this is the extension. As you can see, we have quick connectors. We also have the USB power cable, so we can power our dash cam directly from the USB port if we have it on the dashboard of the motorcycle, or through a power bank, which is the quickest solution, or we can go and connect it directly to the battery of the motorcycle through this wiring that contains the transformer to stabilize the voltage. The fuse. So if there should be any problems with regard to a short circuit or some such festivities, our system goes to detach the fuse and safeguards the bike. We don't have a cable as far as the sub panel is concerned, if I'm not mistaken, so we only have positive and negative power. So our computer, our dash cam is always on. We have to see if we can turn it off directly from somewhere from the application, maybe, so we avoid consuming the battery. Then we have the plastic bracket in ABS, where very hard to be able to affix the dash cam to our handlebars and be able to adjust it to the best. We also have a sun visor that must be mounted above the dash cam to prevent reflections from affecting the visibility of the display. Okay, then we will go and try it live on the motorcycle, so we will see the brightness of the display under the sun, because in the dark you can see them all, but the important thing is that you can also see them under the sun, especially for me who live in Sicily and there is a lot of sun, so we have a lot of external brightness, so the monitor must be seen well. We also have two valves that must be mounted on, or rather two carpets that must be mounted on the wheel valves so that our application can read the tire pressure while we're driving, so we don't have to stop every time to check the tires. If we doubt that they are too deflated, but we have it directly on display. That's all we have in the package. Here we have the keys for mounting the adapters. As for the diameter of the handlebar clamps of various types, let's try it on the bike and see how it goes. I'll see you with the field test soon. The first thing to do, of course, is to mount everything on our bike. The bracket on the handlebar is quite simple to manage. Just have a free space and you can safely hook using all the joints that are present on the bracket itself. Then we have to pass all the wiring based on where we want to go to put the cameras and also the power supply. So if we need the power coming directly from the battery, we have to run the power cord all the way up there. Otherwise, if we have the USB jack directly on the handlebar, we can use that and save some cables running around the bike itself. The cameras themselves do not have a definition that has front rear camera, but the wiring does. Of course, if you connect it to the front camera, at the head of the rear camera, see some buggy images among other things. The rear camera, we see it on the screen with a mirror effect, so if we mount them in reverse we will see a mirrored front camera, which is a bit annoying and above all totally useless. Pairing our phone with our dash cam is pretty simple. In the end, it's a monitor for CarPlay or Android Auto, so just go to the settings of your phone, whether it's Android or with iOS, and choosing Android Auto or CarPlay and making the association is super simple. Just press a button and it connects right away. Once the first recognition between the phone and the monitor is made, then just be near the monitor and it will reconnect automatically. Our monitor also has its own dedicated app, which however is not used for the management of the navigator and the management of multimedia files, phone calls, etc., but is mainly used for the management of the dashcam. In fact, through the application we can download the videos created on our dashcam from both front and rear cameras, and we can also better manage all the data of our logbook. This is our dashcam. It's basically nothing more than a kind of black box that records everything we do with the bike. So it marks us the route done with GPS, instant speed, average speed, and records on the map everything we are doing, so we have a stable track of everything we have done with the bike. All this can be downloaded with the app and viewed easily with our phone. Once downloaded the files on the phone, we can also manage them as normal video files, but the ideal is to use the application, because through the application we can simultaneously see both the video and the movements on the map and all the data related to the speed. As for using it as a CarPlay monitor, we have all the standard functions, so we can manage phone calls, messages, use WhatsApp directly with our speakerphone. In the helmet, obviously, we don't have to go and press on the display while we are driving, but there is a voice that tells us a message has arrived from "you want me to read it to you," and the voice automatically reads what has arrived in the message. If obviously it is an audio message, you will hear the audio message directly. Then the assistant asks you if you want to reply to the message or not. You dictate the message, and then you can, let's say, text also via your phone, even while you are on the bike, obviously without taking your hands off the handlebars. We can of course make phone calls, receive phone calls, command our assistant, be it Siri or Google. We can still say that we do certain functions, and we can especially use the GPS navigator. In fact, in addition to the GPS that we have on our display with the dashcam function, we can use Google Maps or iOS Maps or others. GPS navigator, so we can better manage the route we have to take through our navigator. The messages of the navigator arrive directly inside the helmet in thanks to the hands-free, and among other things I leave you a kit in description, hands-free, that I also use. For the bike, costs about €30 and is fine. With this monitor, among other things, you can share music with, or with another helmet of another motorcyclist traveling with you, so it is very comfortable to travel by motorcycle. And speaking of music, and thanks to this monitor, we can also listen to Spotify or national radios, of course broadcast digitally, so we get them not because there is a radio antenna, but because we stream them directly from the internet. Obviously this use involves data consumption, therefore you need to have an adequate data plan to manage everything you do online. but GPS navigation, audio streaming doesn't consume that much, so any plan is fine, even those based on any data plan. Our monitor is a 5.1 a 2-in monitor. It has a resolution of 1080p. The monitor is a Sony. We have two cameras with Sony sensor cameras. Obviously the monitor and touch screen also works with gloves. If of course they are touchscreen gloves, you have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, the ability to manage tire pressure or better read tire pressure while we are riding. Then it connects via Wi-Fi with caps that must be mounted on the wheel valves and gives us in real time the value of hours, the pressure of our wheels. Everything including connectors is perfectly waterproof, so you can travel even in the rain. Although it is not a beautiful experience to travel in the rain and with the bike, but if you happen to catch a shower, you certainly have no problems with this monitor nor with the cameras. Both the front and rear cameras have a 150-degree field of view. So virtually nothing will be missed whether you shoot on the front or the back, and you can record up to 1920 for 1080x30 frames per second, so a very smooth resolution. What is the dashcam for? If you have an accident or see something special along the way, there is a video track with all GPS references. And you can also use it in the event of an accident as a testimony of what happened. As I said before, for the use of a monitor like this, if you use it, especially with the CarPlay or Android Auto function, is essential a Bluetooth intercom. Otherwise, everything that comes from as communication from the monitor to the driver or passenger is lost, because of course the monitor. It doesn't have speakers. Can you imagine riding a motorcycle with a helmet? Even if it had speakers, you wouldn't hear anything, because motorcycle noise is quite important when you are traveling, especially if you are going at high speeds. Even the wind itself does not allow you to hear the sounds that would come from the monitor. So anyway, the intercom is mandatory. Dashcams can record up to a maximum of 24 hours without overwriting. And what they normally record, how does it work? The dashcams start recording on the micro SD memory that you have to insert, and according to the available space. It's not like it came when the disk fills up. When the memory fills up, it stops recording, in which case the oldest file is overwritten. If you use 256 megabytes of memory, you can record up to 24 consecutive hours without the need to overwrite the data. Obviously, if you put a memory too small, like I know 16 gigabytes, you will have in memory only the last 2 hours of travel and not everything you have done, because obviously arrived at a certain point, the older files will be overwritten because there will be no space to be able to record new files. Unfortunately, due to the tilt of the monitor for how I mounted it, compared to the camera I used to make the C video, you see very little because the reflection is quite important. But I assure you that while I was on the bike, I had no problems. The reflection is due to the polarization of the lenses on my camera. In normal use, that is, while I was driving, I could see very well everything that was on the monitor. I could handle it easily. Even if there is a lot of sun, we are talking about weather, I remember badly, around 12 Cu in Taormina, or rather Giardini Naxos, that under Taormina the sun is at peak in August and you can see very well. So if it's readable at this brightness, it's readable anywhere. And the brightness of the screen automatically adjusts to the ambient brightness, then dims at night to avoid dazzling the driver. And I have to say that our monitor has behaved pretty well, never crashed, never had appointments. The only problem I had was due to my phone, because it was placed near a magnet and then it lost the GPS signal for a moment, the compass, and then it went into a ball for a moment. I moved the phone and it continued, and Mo Better picked everything up to work great. It is a monitor that is found for sale on Amazon, so Amazon warranty. The cost is quite low, about 230 euro. I highly recommend it because at this price it is really good. As you know, if you follow our channel, we are trying these types of products. This is the second video we publish. We have 3 more 3 more monitors and probably more to come. At the end of all these reviews, we will make a summary video and compare the various models to see which is the best. Obviously, the visibility of the display, the various additional functions, the comfort of use on the bike will be evaluated. Obviously, a display like this is very convenient. The only problem is that to detach it from the bracket, you have to have the hex wrench at hand. Otherwise, it remains fixed on our bike, and you have to unhook the cables every time, because obviously they are quick release cables, but they are also waterproof, so you have to unscrew the connector for a moment and detach it. It's an operation that takes very few minutes, but if you have to go shopping and you have to go and unplug the monitor, it doesn't make sense. And it is also true that if you go shopping on your motorcycle, you do not need a monitor. The monitor is mostly used on longer trips when you need your phone. Maybe if you have to do a lot of kilometers on the highway and you know that you need the phone or even the GPS navigator, the monitor is really useful in traffic. It is very convenient because it shows you where there are hiccups, is really useful. In addition, the monitor can obviously also be mounted on scooters. Just adjust the bracket in the right way and then use it safely, so even those who have the infamous T-Max can use this type of monitor. Our monitor has acceleration and braking sensors, or in any case inertia sensors, so if the bike, even while it is parked, should receive a blow, starts automatically recording the cameras. But what does this entail? Is the monitor always active? The consumption is small, that is, it is not that you discharge the battery of the motorcycle, but if you leave it connected for a whole month and never use the motorcycle, maybe the battery could suffer in any case. Other than that, there are no particular issues in using this monitor. The cameras work well even in low light conditions. Obviously, consider that if you are on a motorcycle and you are around, you have the headlight on the front. It is on the rear, the position light, so anyway, it is not from the dark, so the cameras have enough light to work well and record everything that happens without problems. This monitor is sold on Amazon at €239, all complete with wiring, cameras and everything, so definitely a great price, especially for the features we have just listed. So it would definitely be a great buy to add to any bike. Consider that my bike is a motorcycle that is 30 years old and goes very well also mounted on my Super Tenere, and therefore you can enrich both a more modern bike than a bike a little more dated. In any case, the quality and performance of this monitor are excellent, so I recommend it in description. I leave you the link to purchase, and for this review that's all. See you next time. Hello from Giuseppe Di Leggi of Informatica.